You're marrying Mr. Moore, whether you like it or not. Tasha froze in shock as her stepmother, Rebecca, made the sudden announcement. She had just returned home from a grueling day of job hunting, tired and hopeful for something better, only to be met with this demand. Can you imagine being told you have to marry someone against your will? Stay tuned to Dark Voices to find out how Tasha fights back. What? Tasha's voice rose. You've got to be kidding me, Dad. Mr. Moore is ancient. He's older than you, for God's sake. He's practically my grandfather. Mr. Moore was a powerful businessman in their city, wealthy, single, and known for his influence in the local economy. Apparently, Rebecca had been scheming to secure a business partnership with him. And the only way he agreed was if Tasha married into their family. So what if he's old? Her stepmother snapped. He's rich and still single. You should be grateful we chose you for this opportunity. Tasha scoffed. If you think it's such a blessing, why don't you marry him off to your precious daughter, Gladys? Rebecca bristled. Don't be ridiculous. My daughter's beauty doesn't belong with a man like that. Besides, she's already engaged. Don't you remember? Tasha rolled her eyes. So, it was okay for them to throw her under the bus, but not their own blood. You people think you can just decide my life like I'm some pawn on a chessboard, she muttered, turning away. Her father's palm cracked across her cheek before she even saw it coming. Don't talk about your stepmother that way, he barked. She's done her best to be your mother since your real one died. Tasha clutched her face, eyes burning with unshed tears. Mommy, she said with a bitter laugh. She's more like a wicked witch than a mother. And you? You changed the moment Mom died. You're not the same father I grew up with. Her father slapped her again. Go ahead, Tasha dared him, her voice trembling. Hit me all you want. Sell me off like I'm not your daughter. Just know you've already lost me the moment you chose her over me. Years of holding back came flooding out. Her stepmother had made her drop out of college. Her father never defended her, just obeyed Rebecca like a puppet. If her mother were still alive, none of this would have happened. You're marrying Mr. Moore, Tasha, her father said coldly. I make the rules in this house, and you'll do as I say. Tasha stared at him, disbelief in her eyes. He was serious. He truly planned to marry her off to that wrinkled old man. Without another word, she stormed out of the house. Her father called after her, but she didn't listen. Her feet carried her away, blindly, tears blurring her vision. What happens when Tasha takes her fate into her own hands? Keep watching Dark Voices to uncover the shocking twists. That night, she ended up at a bar. She drank like someone trying to erase herself. Alone in a dark corner, she downed shots and cursed the world. This life is a joke, she muttered drunkenly. You got anything else, world? Go ahead, give it to me. Might as well dump all the crap on me now. The music was too loud for most to hear her rambling. The bartender looked at her with concern. Ma'am, I think you've had enough. She pointed a shaky finger at him. Are you my boyfriend? No. Then just do your job and pour the drink. The bartender sighed and handed over the drink. Cheers to my miserable life, Tasha toasted, gulping it down. After hours of drinking, her vision swam and her steps staggered. She didn't want to go home, not to that house. Instead, she fumbled her way into a hotel and checked in. The room number on her card was 208, but her blurred vision betrayed her. She mistakenly entered room 203, unlocked and, to her intoxicated mind, welcoming. She collapsed onto the soft bed, peeled off her clothes from the heat, and closed her eyes. Then she heard the bathroom door open. A man stepped out. Before she could ask who he was, he kissed her. And what shocked her even more, she kissed him back. Something about his touch felt familiar, comforting, electric. She didn't know if it was the alcohol or something else, but she didn't stop him. The next morning, her head pounded like a drum. She groaned, sitting up slowly, then froze. Her shirt was gone. So were her panties. She screamed when she saw a naked man sleeping next to her. He sat up, startled by her scream. She yanked the blanket up to cover herself, but accidentally revealed his entire body in the process. Her eyes went wide at the sight of him, pale, toned, and definitely well endowed. Her cheeks burned. What? Who are you? What are you doing in my room? What did you do to me? She fired the questions rapidly, voice shrill and trembling. The man chuckled as he reached for his pants. Relax. You were the one who came in here. This is room 208, she insisted. He smirked and pointed to the door. Nope, this is 203. Her eyes widened as she realized her mistake. She buried her face in her hands. This was all a nightmare. Don't worry, he said casually. I'll pay you for last night. Her head snapped up. Excuse me? You think I'm a hooker? She gathered her clothes in a rush, cheeks flushed with anger and shame. He raised an eyebrow. Then what do you want? She paused, thinking hard. Then she smiled. Marry me? He choked on air. You want me to marry you? He asked once they sat down. Later that day at a nearby cafe, she had insisted they talk. Yes, she replied. I mean, it's not like I want your money. I already have a job interview. I'm not poor. What she didn't tell him yet was that she'd received an offer from the company he secretly owned. He looked at her curiously. Why do you want to marry me? Tasha sighed. Because my stepmother wants to force me into marrying an old man. I'd rather marry a stranger than live a life I didn't choose. David, his name, she learned, studied her. He didn't trust easily. Many had tried to use him for his wealth. Was she one of them? I have kids, he said finally. Tasha blinked. Oh, 2 of them. Her expression didn't change. Perfect, she said, surprising him. Now I'll have instant kids, too. David stared at her, genuinely baffled. Who was this woman? Wait, do you even know who I am? David asked, pointing at himself. You're David, right? Tasha chuckled. You told me that earlier. I'm Tasha, in case you forgot. David shook his head with a faint laugh. She really didn't seem to know his true identity. Be honest, he said, his expression suddenly serious. Why do you want to marry me? Tasha exhaled heavily. Fine, I'll tell you the whole truth. My stepmother wants me to marry a rich old man named Mr. Moore. My dad doesn't care about me. That man is older than my dad, and they're practically trying to sell me off like property. I'd rather marry a normal guy than spend my life chained to a rich fossil. She shrugged and gave him a sad smile. I just want to marry someone I can love and build a real family with. But I guess that's asking too much. David watched her quietly. But why me? He asked. You don't love me. We had one accidental night together. That's it. Tasha reached across the table and grabbed his hand. Please, David, help me out. This could be your way of making up for taking something from me. You know I was a virgin, right? She gave him her best hopeful smile, trying to charm him into agreeing. Don't worry, she added quickly. After 1 year, we can annul the marriage or divorce if we must. I'll disappear from your life. I promise I won't bother you or ask for anything. She even raised her hand dramatically. Wait, wrong hand. She lifted her right instead. There, that's my vow. David sighed, rubbing his temple. What do I even get out of helping you? Tasha's eyes widened, and she dropped his hand. What? That night wasn't enough? I gave you something I'd been saving my whole life. David raised an eyebrow, making her pause. Well, she tried again. Since we'll be married, I'll be a good wife. I'll help take care of your kids and be a good stepmom for 1 year. David glanced at her figure, lips curling slightly. That part of being a wife included, too? Her eyes widened and she covered her chest. "Excuse me, you're unbelievable." David exhaled deeply. "If you're not going to help me," Tasha said, standing up, "then fine, I'll find someone else who'll pretend to be my husband for money." David grabbed her wrist before she could walk away. "Fine, I'll do it." She blinked in surprise. "Really?" "Yeah," he muttered, almost annoyed. "I don't know why I'm saying yes, but fine." Her smile stretched wide and she wrapped her arms around him. "Thank you. Thank you so much, David. You're my knight in shining armor." David awkwardly patted her back, not used to being hugged. Later that day, when she showed her father the marriage certificate, Tasha was met with a hard slap across the face. "What the hell did you do, Tasha?" Rebecca screeched, snatching the certificate. "Do you even realize what this means for our family? For our business? What about the collaboration with Mr. Moore now?" Tasha looked straight at them, chin high. "What can I say, Dad? I'm married now, so that plan's officially dead." Her father stared in disbelief, eyes shifting to David, who stood quietly by her side. "And who the hell is this?" he asked, scanning David from head to toe. "He looks like some random low-level employee. What can he even provide you?" Tasha grabbed David's hand. "I don't care, Dad. I'd rather be married to him than that old man. Don't you realize what you're doing to me by forcing that marriage? I'm your daughter, not something you can give away whenever you please." Tears welled in her eyes. "How dare you speak to me like that?" her father growled. Tasha closed her eyes and braced for another slap, but it never came. David had grabbed her father's wrist. "Let go of me," the older man hissed. David did, but calmly said, "Even if she's your daughter, you have no right to hit her." Tasha's eyes widened, staring at David in disbelief. No one had ever stood up for her before. "And who the hell are you to interfere in our family business?" her father demanded. David stepped closer and wrapped an arm around Tasha's waist. "I'm her husband, which means I'm part of this family now." Her father let out a bitter laugh. "And you think I'll accept you as my daughter's husband?" David smirked. "Don't worry, Mr. Lopez. I don't accept you as my father-in-law either." Tasha and her stepmother both gasped. "You disrespectful punk," her father growled. David ignored him and turned to Tasha. "Let's go, honey. We've spent enough time around toxic people for one day." He led her out of the house, through the neighborhood gate, and down the street. As soon as they were alone, Tasha laughed. David gave her a puzzled look. "What's so funny?" She shook her head. "I just didn't expect you to talk to my dad like that. He's pretty influential. People are usually too scared to even raise their voice to him." She sighed and looked up at David with soft eyes. "Thanks, David. No one's ever defended me like that before." David gently touched the cheek her father had slapped earlier. Something tugged at his chest when he thought of the pain she'd endured. "Of course I'll defend you," he said. "You're my wife." Tasha's heart thumped in her chest. "What if someday you find out something about me?" she asked quietly. "Something people might judge me for?" David smiled gently. "Whatever it is, Tasha, I'll believe you because you're my wife, always." She bit her lip, fighting back the tears. No one had ever said that to her before. No one had ever believed in her like that. "Thank you, David," she whispered. He just held her hand. "Come on, let's go home. The kids are waiting for us." When they arrived at David's house, Tasha froze on the doorstep. It was simple and modest, but spacious, well-kept, and clearly lived in with love. "Why'd you stop?" David asked. She shook her head. "No reason. Let's go in." He opened the door and called out, "Boys, we're home." Tasha looked around the living room, scanning the neat space with its clean furniture and glass-top dining table. It wasn't a mansion, but it felt like a home. "I told you it's not big," David said with a shrug. She smiled as she touched the soft couch. Are you kidding? This place is great and comfy, too. I could sleep on this sofa. Just then, two little boys ran out of one of the rooms. Mommy! Tasha was caught off guard as they wrapped their arms around her. Her heart skipped. You took so long to come back. We were waiting for you. And that's when she realized they were twins, identical, except one had a mole under his eye. Maybe this could really be a family. Maybe you went on a date with Daddy. That's why you took so long, right? One of the twins asked sweetly. David chuckled and placed a hand on each boy's shoulder. Before you keep talking, shouldn't you introduce yourselves? The boys covered their mouths, realizing their excitement made them forget their manners. We're sorry, Mommy, one of them said. I'm Simon. And I'm Sam, the other followed quickly. Tasha smiled and gently touched their faces. The twins looked exactly like David, miniature versions of him, but she could tell them apart. Simon had the mole beneath his eye. Sam didn't. Hi, you two, she said warmly. I'm Tasha. Before she could finish, the twins hugged her again, declaring, You're our new mommy. Tasha was startled, but eventually smiled. So, this was what it felt like to be hugged by children. If her own child had lived, maybe she'd have experienced this sooner. She shook that thought away. Meanwhile, David stood nearby as they finished dinner. He leaned casually against the counter, watching Tasha wash the dishes. The kids really like you, he commented. She grinned. Yeah, well, I really like them, too. They're not just cute, they're sweet and affectionate. David nodded. Yes, you're right about that. After finishing up in the kitchen, Tasha dried her hands and looked at David. Can I ask you something? He turned to her, curious. Sure. Where's their real mom? The question had been on her mind. Why had David agreed to marry a stranger so quickly? She didn't want to cause any trouble if there was another woman in the picture. She's dead, he replied without hesitation. Tasha was taken aback. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay, he said. It's been a long time. Let's not talk about it. Tasha nodded, understanding. She knew the pain of losing someone. Her own mother's death was still a wound in her life. Later, when she went to find her suitcase in the living room, it was gone. She frowned. David, did you see my luggage? I left it right here. David joined her, puzzled. No, I haven't. Just then, the bedroom door opened and the twins came out. We already put your things in your room, Mommy, one of them said proudly. Tasha's eyes widened. Wait, you mean my room is in with your dad? The boys looked confused. Why wouldn't you share a room? You're married, right? And don't forget, Sam added, you should share a bed, too. Tasha was left speechless, scratching her head in embarrassment. Well, we're not going to be married forever, kids, just for a year. The boys frowned. Why? She gave them a small smile. It's a long story. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. You're too young. Simon and Sam exchanged glances and looked back at her. Even if it's only for a year, you're still our mommy, and you should sleep in the same room with Daddy. Yeah, Simon added. There are only 2 bedrooms in the house. One for us and one for you and Daddy. Tasha ran out of excuses. These boys were smart and persistent. Good night, Mommy. Good night, Daddy. They chimed in unison, kissed them on the cheeks, and ran back to their room. Tasha let out a long sigh and stepped into the bedroom she'd now share with David. I can sleep on the floor, she offered. No, David said, picking up a pillow and blanket. You take the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. But that's not right, Tasha replied. It's your house. You can't sleep on the floor. David smiled. It's fine. You're my wife. You take the bed. As he lay down on the floor, Tasha felt guilty. She moved toward him and gently tugged his arm. Just sleep on the bed. David looked at her. Are you sure? There's enough space, she said. It's a big bed. He slowly stood up and lay down on the other side. Tasha placed an extra pillow between them. David raised an eyebrow. Seriously, a barrier? She gave an awkward laugh. Just for protection? He chuckled softly. Really? After what already happened between us and now you need protection? Tasha covered her face with a groan. That was an accident. Okay. I was drunk. David shook his head, still smiling. All right, I won't tease you anymore. Get some sleep. He turned away, giving her space. Tasha lay down slowly, eyes fixed on the ceiling, nerves tingling. This time they were sober. This time it was real. She wasn't sure she'd be able to sleep. David, on the other hand, glanced at her once she drifted off. He smiled at her peaceful face, so much for thinking she wouldn't sleep beside him. He got up quietly and called his assistant, Brand. Sir, is something wrong? Brand asked. I told you to find a house with 3 bedrooms, David said. Why does this one have only 2? I was going to, sir, but the twins called earlier and said you changed your mind. David furrowed his brows. The twins? Do you want me to look for a new place, sir? No, David sighed. We can't move again. Tasha might get suspicious. He ended the call and lay back down. Meanwhile, in the twins' room. Did you hear what Mommy said earlier? Sam asked. Simon nodded. Yeah, she said she's only going to be our mom for a year. But we can't let that happen, Sam said, frowning. Simon thought for a moment, then grinned mischievously. Then it's time to start Operation Make Mommy Fall in Love with Daddy. They exchanged glances and nodded seriously. Tasha smiled in her sleep, hugging her pillow tightly. The scent was comforting. She sniffed it again and held it closer. Then her brows knit in confusion. Since when had her pillow become so firm? Are you done groping me? Came a deep, amused voice. Tasha's eyes flew open, her heart skipped as she found herself face to face with David, her pillow. She jerked back, her cheeks flushing red. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hug you. I thought you were my pillow. She couldn't even look at him from embarrassment. As she shifted her gaze downward, she spotted the pillow she had placed between them last night on the floor. David stood and stretched. It's okay, but it seems like I'm the one who needed the protection, not you. Tasha pouted, unable to come up with a comeback. David walked into the bathroom, and Tasha headed to the kitchen to make breakfast. But when she entered, she froze. A full spread of breakfast dishes was already on the table. Good morning, Mommy, the twins chirped. Did you and Daddy finish making our baby sister? Tasha nearly dropped the plate she was holding. Mortified, she ruffled the boy's hair to dodge the question. Where did all this food come from? She asked, changing the subject. We didn't cook, Sam said proudly. We ordered it from a 5-star hotel. We wanted your breakfast to be extra yummy. What? A 5-star hotel? Tasha's eyes widened as she counted 5 luxurious dishes on the table. Everything looked expensive and professionally prepared. Where did you get the money for this? She asked, still stunned. Don't worry, Mommy, Simon said confidently. We used Daddy's money. He has lots. In fact, if you wanted, he could buy the whole hotel just for you. Tasha's mouth fell open. She couldn't understand what they were saying. Just then, David appeared and quickly covered Simon's mouth. Sorry about that. They talk nonsense sometimes, he said with a pointed glare at the twins. Simon covered his own mouth quickly. Yeah, Mommy. We were just pretending to be rich. And the food? It's not from a hotel. We just bought it from the local diner. Tasha let out a deep breath of relief, placing a hand over her chest. Phew, I thought you really did order from a five-star hotel. She smiled and shook her head. You guys don't need to do this again. From now on, I'll be the one cooking. The twins hugged her tightly. Okay, Mommy. As they began eating together, Tasha realized something. Even though she had left her own family, she wasn't alone anymore. She had found a new family who embraced her completely. Though the reality stung, this was only supposed to last a year. She resolved to make the most of every day with them. Okay, you too. I'm heading to work, she told the boys. Be good. All right. I'll be back early and bring something tasty if I get hired today. Where are you applying, Mommy? Sam asked. I applied at the Hall of Fame company. I got a call yesterday for an interview. The twins looked at each other, then at David. I really hope I get it, Tasha said. If I do, we're all going out for a special dinner tonight. Neither twin said a word about their father owning the Hall of Fame company. They had promised not to tell Tasha. I'm sure you'll get hired, Mommy, Simon said confidently. Right, Daddy? David nodded. Absolutely. Just believe in yourself. You'll do great. Tasha smiled brightly. Thank you. You three really are my lucky charms. She was surprised when the twins kissed her cheeks at the same time. That's our good luck kiss for you, Mommy, they said together. Tasha was touched. Oh, thank you, babies. She pinched their cheeks and kissed them back. You're not the only one who owes her a good luck kiss, Sam said. Tasha looked confused. What do you mean? Simon grinned. Daddy, you have to give Mommy a good luck kiss, too. Tasha froze, not meeting David's eyes. The kids could be too much sometimes. Good luck on your interview, David said seriously, leaning in toward her cheek. Tasha's heart began to race. She turned her head at the wrong moment, right into David's lips. Their eyes widened as their lips met. She saw David grin against her mouth. Mommy and Daddy kissed, the twins yelled. Tasha pulled back quickly, her face flushed. I have to go now. Bye. She rushed out the door, too embarrassed to look back. She hailed a taxi, still flustered, and found herself touching her lips. There was something about David's kiss that sent a thrill through her chest. She smacked her cheeks to snap out of it. Focus, Tasha, she muttered. You've got an interview to ace. This is no time to daydream. The taxi driver glanced at her in the mirror. You okay, ma'am? She smiled sheepishly. I'm fine, just nerves. When she arrived at the company, she took deep breaths to calm herself. She wasn't alone. Other applicants were waiting, too. She kept thinking about the twins' good luck kisses and David's. Focus, Tasha, she whispered. Tasha Lopez, a receptionist called. Tasha stood up quickly. That's me. She entered the interview room. The interviewer studied her resume several times, looking from the paper to her face. Her nerves grew. Yes, I'm Tasha Lopez, she said, trying to sound confident. The interviewer finally nodded and closed her folder. All right, you're hired. You can start today. Tasha blinked. Wait, really? Yes, congratulations. She shook his hand with joy and nearly skipped out of the room. Heading to HR for her assignment, she couldn't stop smiling. Outside, two employees were gossiping by the elevator. Did you hear? They hired someone without a college degree. Seriously? I heard some applicants from big universities didn't even get callbacks. Well, she must have a backer or something. It's so unfair. Tasha's smile faltered. She didn't know they were talking about her, but who else could it be? She shook it off. It didn't matter what people thought. She was happy. On her way out, she ran into her stepsister, Gladys. Well, look who it is. My pathetic little stepsister, Gladys sneered. What are you doing here? Tasha asked, narrowing her eyes. Oh, let me guess. You're applying as a janitor, right? Gladys mocked, her fiancé laughing behind her. Tasha's ex-fiancé. Sorry to disappoint you, Tasha said calmly. But I didn't apply for that position. Gladys sneered. As if anyone here would hire someone like you. I don't care what you think, Gladys, Tasha replied. Now, if you'll excuse me, my husband is waiting for me at home. Wait, husband? Jarek, her ex, looked confused. Gladys smirked. Yeah, she married some broke guy to avoid marrying Mr. Moore. So desperate. Tasha rolled her eyes. Whatever I do with my life is none of your business. She walked off, not giving them another second of her day. Just thinking about David and the boys made her smile again. Tasha returned home with bags of food, just like she promised. Does this mean you got the job, Mommy? One of the twins asked excitedly. Tasha nodded and hugged them both. Yes, sweethearts, I got the job. You really are my lucky charms. The twins beamed. See, our good luck kiss worked. Tasha looked around. Speaking of your daddy, is he home yet? The boys glanced at each other and then turned to her. Not yet, Mommy, but he'll be here soon. I'll text him, Simon said. I'll help you set the table, Mommy, Sam added, running to grab the plates. A little while later, David arrived holding a cake box. Tasha raised an eyebrow. What's that? David placed the box on the table and opened it to reveal a cake that read, Congratulations, Mommy. We are proud of you. Tasha covered her mouth in shock, tears welling in her eyes. Thank you, David, she whispered, unable to stop the tears. Thank you so much. Mommy, why are you crying? The twins asked, running to hug her legs. I'm just happy, babies, she said, her voice trembling. This is the first time anyone has ever done something like this for me. The first time someone's ever said they're proud of me. Her mother had been the only one who believed in her. Since losing her, she hadn't felt this kind of love. David walked over and gently wrapped his arms around her. This won't be the last time, Tasha, he said warmly. From now on, we'll be here. Me and your children will always be proud of you. Tasha looked up at him and smiled through her tears. My children? She repeated. David nodded. Yes, our children, our family. She hugged him tightly. That night, they all ate together with laughter and smiles. It was one of the happiest days of her life. Later that evening, one of the twins looked up at her. Mommy, do you have work tomorrow? Tasha paused. Yes, why do you ask? The boys glanced at each other. They smiled, but she could tell it was forced. No reason, Mommy, they replied before heading to their room. Tasha frowned slightly, confused by their reaction. She entered the bedroom and found David typing on his laptop. She sat on the bed beside him. David, what's tomorrow? He stopped typing and looked at her. Why do you ask? The boys asked if I had work. When I said yes, they looked kind of sad. David sighed and removed his glasses. It's their birthday tomorrow. Tasha's eyes widened. Not only was it the twins' birthday, but it was also the birthday of the child she'd lost. She had planned to visit her child's grave after work. That's why they looked sad, she murmured. They were hoping I'd stay home. Don't worry, David said. They'll understand. They know you didn't know. Tasha looked at him and shook her head. Well, now I do know, so I'm not going to work tomorrow. David frowned. You're taking the day off, but you just started. You've only been there for 2 weeks. What if they fire you for skipping? I don't care, she said firmly. Even if it's a high-paying job, even if it's hard to find another one, what matters is that I'm there for the twins on their birthday. That only comes once a year. She leaned her hands on the bed and stared at him. You're not going to work either, right? We're celebrating together. The twins will be so happy if we're all there. David didn't answer right away. He had an important board meeting the next day, but Tasha was giving him puppy eyes. "Fine," he said at last. "I'll skip on one condition." Tasha pouted. "Seriously? A condition?" "It's their birthday." He didn't reply. He just kept looking at her. She sighed. "All right. What is it?" David placed the laptop on the bedside table and leaned toward her. Tasha gulped as his face moved closer. Her heart pounded as he cupped her cheeks gently. "Kiss me," he whispered. Tasha's lips twitched nervously. She leaned forward slowly, lips barely trembling. David smiled and pulled her closer, pressing his lips to hers. The next morning, Tasha was in the kitchen cooking when the twins appeared, still rubbing their eyes. "No work today, Mommy?" Sam asked. Tasha walked over and kissed their cheeks. "Good morning, babies. I decided to stay home today." Their eyes lit up. "And happy birthday, sweethearts." They threw their arms around her. "Thank you, Mommy. How did you know it was our birthday?" Sam asked. Tasha winked. "That's my secret." "Can we go to the amusement park today?" Simon asked eagerly. "Of course," David said as he walked in. "Your mom and I already talked about it. Today we're celebrating." He gave Tasha a wink, and she turned away quickly, covering her lips as her face warmed. After breakfast, they all headed to the amusement park. Tasha couldn't even count how many rides they went on. Her legs wobbled as she took the bottle of water David handed her. "Why'd you ride that one if you're afraid of heights?" David asked, sitting beside her on the bench. "I didn't want to ruin the boys' birthday," she said, watching them gleefully ride the carousel. "I promised them I'd do everything they wanted today." David watched her quietly. She didn't notice his soft smile. "You really love them, don't you?" he asked. "Of course," she replied. "What kind of mom wouldn't love twins as sweet and affectionate as them?" David gave a bittersweet smile. "I wish their real mom had felt the same way." Tasha looked at him, concerned. "Actually, I lied to you," he said quietly. She turned toward him. "She's not dead," he said. "I kicked her out." Tasha's eyes widened. "I hated her," David said flatly. "She didn't deserve to be their mother. Not once did she care for them or show them love." Tasha saw his hands clench into fists. The rage in his voice was real. She reached over and gently held his hand. "Whatever anger you feel toward her, it's valid. But if we can't change the past, maybe it's time to let ourselves heal. The important thing is that the boys are happy now." David looked at her for a long moment, then slowly smiled and tightened his grip on her hand. "You're right," he said. "Thank you. It's because of you we're finally happy. You're the reason." He gently squeezed her hand. "I hope our one-year contract doesn't end, Tasha." "I hope it keeps going." Tasha's brow furrowed slightly. "I love you, Tasha." She froze at his words. "Do you love me, too?" He placed her hand on his cheek, smiling playfully. Did she love him? Her heart answered before her mind did. "Yes, David, I love you, too." She caressed his face gently. "You and the boys, you make me happy." David suddenly kissed her lips. She closed her eyes and kissed him back, not caring who saw them. All that mattered was this moment. "I still can't believe you work here, dear stepsister," came Gladys's snide voice from across the office hallway. Tasha stopped walking and turned toward her, immediately catching the mockery in Gladys's tone. "Can you get me a cup of coffee?" she added sharply. Tasha smiled faintly. "And why would I do that? I'm not here to serve you. You're not even my boss." Before Tasha could walk away, their department manager appeared. "What's going on, Tasha? Don't you know who Miss Martinez is?" "She's one of Mr. Lewis's VIP guests today," the manager said in a scolding tone. "Quit standing there and get her coffee." Tasha caught the smug grin on Gladys's face. Of all companies Gladys could have chosen to pitch her investment